And so how long did they keep you? How long did they keep you in Singapore before you?
I think we were there for about 3 weeks, and they wanted to do every test under the sun.
Yes.
And just to see that we were all right to go into, you know, a civilized population again, because we were living in under appalling conditions. Soap was unknown, and we washed in warm water because we'd had tins that we could store the water in, and but we didn't have any soap or anything like that, and no, they the nurses who were sent over were told, or one of them told me afterwards, that they had been told, I don't think they were New South were, they had said, what you must realise, of course, that when you see the nurses, they will be uncooperative and uncooperative and unappreciative of anything you do for them. You have to realise that they will change quite a lot mentally.
Yes.
We were flying high. We were so excited about everything. They had to sedate us, actually. So that was that. But,
Now, how did you come back to Australia from Singapore?
by ship, but I've forgotten the name of the ship.
Yes.
And then my mother had died when I was doing my training, you see, and but Dad and my younger sister came down to meet me, and we had I think they kept us in hospital. They let us go home for the weekend, that's right. And then, yes, because my sister was living at Strathfield at the time, so we went back to her place, and then we had to come into hospital, and where they did every test under the sun to see that we were all right, because I think they were frightened of things like leprosy and the type of Eastern illness that we don't really see out here.
Yes.
So that was that. And then we all just went back. The only ones who didn't go back to the hospital to work were the ones who got married straight away, and I was quite glad to get back into a hospital atmosphere, because it was what I was used to, and I went back to the what's that hospital out near Strathfield.
I don't know.
Anyway, it was a big army hospital out there, and I've forgotten what they called it. And I had 3 weeks to get used to doing that, and then I was put in charge of Ken Starr's ward, and he was a brilliant surgeon, and we got on very well together, and I thoroughly enjoyed the year I had there. I didn't stay longer than a year because I wanted to do obstetrics before I went overseas, and that's what I did. Then I went overseas for about 3.5 years and came back.
Did you have to swear any statements for?
What's that?
Did you have to swear any statements for war crimes tribunals or anything like that?
I think we were interviewed. Yes, and you see, one of the questions they asked was, were the Japanese cruel? Were the Japanese? And I said, not openly so. And but other girls said, oh yes, that they were, and they had slapped their faces and things like that. And I don't know of any sister who had her face slapped by a Jap.
Yes.
And see, human beings are funny things. Some are quite prepared to lie to make a thing sound worse than it was. Most of them were. We ignored them, you see. We used to walk in the evenings. We usually walked in pairs or Pat Blake and Jester walked usually together. Wynne Davis and I walked together, and you know, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and also, or sometimes we might walk as a foursome, but mostly just in pairs, because the road would be crowded with the from about 5 o'clock till 6, and then it was dark. But people have said about Japan that they really hated the Japanese, and I said, I don't think I do. I've never thought about it very much. I said, I hated the way that we were treated. But I said, when you look back on it, you realised a lot of them were just lonely young people. And they were doing the job that they were ordered to do.
Yes.
But I've never had any great... I would have liked to have gone to Japan. Most of the girls did. They went either on their way, but my husband wasn't keen about Japan anyway, and so when we never did. We always travelled across to England by boat, because we both liked the long trip.
Yes.
And also boat travel appealed to us. And then we would fly home in stages. We'd stopped. I think we always stopped in Paris, first stop, and then we'd go down to Spain, and then we went to somewhere in India, I've forgotten what it was, and took a train right down to the bottom end, which was very good. And then from there, that boat was quite interesting. It took us around to New Guinea and down the west coast of Western Australia. And I don't think we had to change boats at all. And we got off in Jarvis Bay, I think it was.
Yes.
Family met us there.
Now, if I can backtrack, you mentioned that you had malaria. Did you have quinine? Were you given quinine by the Japs?
The doctors had very, very little, but they'd had a certain amount. I usually got Dr. Smith used to visit the ward, you see, and she used to sneak me a few and say, "Don't bloody well tell anyone I've given you this, will you?"
Yes.
Because the others, you know, some of them complained so much, but I had the severe one, which is every day. The MT is usually every second day. No, the BT I think is every second day. MT is every day, and she usually gave it to me. Was instructions not to bloody well tell anybody, but and people used to get upset with her because she used the word bloody quite a lot. And I said, well, look, if you take what it means, it's really quite applicable. And I said, it doesn't worry me. I said,